Question letter A. What is marine environment? Marine environment for me is a vital resource for our life on Earth. Marine ecosystems perform a number of key environmental functions. They regulate the climate, prevent erosion, accumulate and distribute solar energy, and absorb carbon dioxide and maintain biological control. Question letter B. What are the major sources of marine pollution and its impact and hazards to human and animals and shipping industry? For me, the increased concentration of chemicals such as nitrogen and phosphorus and in the coastal ocean promotes the growth of algal blooms, which can be toxic to wildlife and harmful to humans. The negative effects on health and the environment caused by algal blooms hurt local fishing and tourism industries. This sharp increase in plastic entering our waters can harm not only marine life but also humanity. Plastic kills fish, birds, and marine mammals and sea turtles, and also destroys habitats and even affects animals' mating rituals, which can have devastating consequences and can wipe out entire species. Question letter C. Explain Marpol Convention history, when it was adopted, entered into force, and its objectives including all the regulation of Marpol Annex 1 to 6. The history of Marpol Convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The Protocol of 1978 was adopted in response to a spate of tanker accidents in 1976 to 1977. As the 1973 Marpol Convention had not yet entered into force, the 1978 Marpol Protocol absorbed the parent convention. When was Marpol created? For me, it resulted in the adoption of the first ever Comprehensive Anti-Pollution Convention, the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, and thus Marpol was born with the objective of minimizing pollution of the oceans and seas and preserve the marine environment. Marpol, or also known as the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, is the main international convention covering prevention of pollution of the marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. The Marpol Convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The Protocol of 1978 was adopted in response to a spate of tanker accidents in 1976 to 1977. As the 1973 Marpol Convention had not yet entered into force, the 1978 Marpol Protocol absorbed the parent convention. The combined instrument entered into force on October 2, 1983. In 1997, a protocol was adopted to amend the convention and a new Annex 6 was added, which entered into force on May 19, 2005. Marpol has been updated by amendments through the years. This convention includes regulations aimed at preventing and minimizing pollution from ships, both accidental pollution and that from routine operations, and currently includes 6 technical annexes, like special areas with strict controls on operational discharges are included in most annexes. Annex 1. Annex 1 in regulations for the prevention of pollution by oil entered into force on October 2, 1983. It covers prevention of pollution by oil from operational measures as well as from accidental discharges. The 1992 amendments of Annex 1 was made it mandatory for new oil tankers to have double hulls and brought in a phase-in schedule for existing tankers to fit double hulls, which was subsequently revised in 2001 and 2003. Annex 2 Regulations for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. It was entered into force October 2, 1983. It details the discharge criteria and measures for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances carried in bulk. Some 250 substances were evaluated and included in the list appended to the convention. The discharge of the residues is allowed only to reception facilities until certain concentrations and conditions, which vary with the category of substances, are complied with. Annex 3 Prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried by sea in package form, entered into force July 1, 1992. It contains general requirements for the issuing of detailed standards on packing, marking, labeling, documentation, stowage, quantity, limitations, exceptions, and notifications. Annex 4 Prevention of pollution on sewage from ships. It was entered force on September 27, 2003. It contains requirements to control the pollution of the sea by sewage. The discharge of sewage into the sea is prohibited except when the ship has in operation an approved sewage treatment plant or when the ship is discharging comminuted and disinfected sewage using an approved system at a distance of more than 3 nautical miles from the nearest land. Sewage which is not comminuted or disinfected has to be discharged at a distance of more than 12 nautical miles from the nearest land. Annex 5 Prevention of pollution by garbage from ships. Entered into force on December 31, 1988. It deals with different types of garbage and specifies the distances from land and the manner in which they may be disposed of. The most important feature of the annex is the complete ban imposed on the disposal into the sea of all forms of plastics. Annex 6 Prevention of air pollution from ships. Entered into force on May 19, 2005. It sets limit on sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide emissions from ship exhaust and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances. Designated emission control areas set more stringent standards for SOx, NOx, and particulate matter.